Friends, at this time we are going to begin the funeral services for Elaine Spagnoli. If you have a cell phone or a pager, I would ask you to please take a moment and turn it off or place it in the silent mode. Officiating today's services will be Cantor Charlene Brooks. And at this time, we would invite the immediate members of the family, those of you wearing the career ribbon, to come forward in the center of the room, and the cantor will lead you in the tradition of prayer, please.
There's a tradition, very old tradition. When Jacob thought he lost Joseph, he was so upset that he turned his clothes. We don't do that. We use these ribbons as a representation of that tearing to acknowledge our mourning loved ones. Please repeat after me. When King David lost his own son, he wrote Psalm 23. And in it, this is something we say, we read at every funeral, many, many, many funerals. There is no mourning in this psalm. Everybody's familiar with it, but there is no mention of mourning and of loss. It's of love and hope. The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He guideth me in straight paths for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou hast anointed my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I shall dwell in the house of the Lord forevermore, forevermore. Before we bring up the family members who are going to share some beautiful words with us,
I would like to read and sing just a little bit. I know this is I think this is fantastic to acknowledge Elaine and her Judaism and her family and in this exact spot. This is wonderful. This is a beautiful example of how people should live. And thank you for allowing me to do this with you. This is it's a little poem from a proverb, Proverb 31. And it's it recognizes the matriarch of a family. She's a woman of valor. She's more precious than pearls. She's a woman of valor. With compassion so profound, she wraps your heart in her care. You know that she'll always be there. She will always be there. And I'm going to share just a little bit of the Hebrew with you. Eshet hayil nimsa verachok mipnini michra batach balev bana v'shalav lo yachsar v'shalav lo yachsar. Yeah, I know this from what I've shared with Jamie and others here that Elaine Spagnoli was a woman of valor. She was a woman of strength. She had great poise. And she will remain an example for everyone who knew her. Now, some of you have asked me to read your words, but there's others who want to speak yourself. So I would like to invite Molly to come up here and speak to you now.
I'd like to read a poem that Maya wrote in her own hand. It was one of her favorites. I have to live with myself, and so I want to be fit for myself to know. I want to be able, as days go by, always to look myself straight in the eye. I don't want to stand with the setting sun and hate myself and the things I've done. I don't want to keep on a closet shelf a lot of secrets about myself and fool myself as I come and go into thinking no one else will ever know the kind of man I really am. I don't want to dress myself up in sham. I want to go out with my head erect. I want to deserve all men's respect. But here in the struggle for fame and wealth, I want to be able to like myself. I don't want to think as I come and go, I am bluster and bluff and empty show. I can never hide myself from me. I can see what others may never see. I know what others may never know. I can never fool myself. And so, whatever happens, I want to be self-respecting and conscience-free.
Thank you, Molly. That was beautiful. And now, I would like to invite little Joe, who has words he would like to share.
I was fortunate enough to have my yaya well into my adult life and to have such a well-rounded, kind, loving, funny grandmother is more than any person is entitled to in life. Yaya always encouraged us to pursue our passions like she pursued hers, as she was an artist and a lover of poetry. Because she was so well read, she was sharp, but combined with her kindness, made her invaluable to those around her. I would like to share a few anecdotes about my yaya to help summarize her character, whether it was patient and loving or sarcastic and humorous. A few years back, when I was struggling emotionally, Yaya and I had a breakfast date. And while I could barely keep it together, even in her advanced years, she had the strength and kindness to be available and supportive. She would never falter in her love and support. And I think that's a testament to the commitment that she showed to those who loved. And even while she was in the hospital, 90% of the visitors for that floor were us. And I think that really shows when she was there for us, we're there for her. The second Yaya story I'd like to share was a lesson she would make sure to impart on me every Christmas. She would call me over, hug me, and grab my face. And she would ask if I was seeing something. But regardless if I was, she would make sure to tell me, whatever you do, make sure they like you more than you like them. It was funny coming from someone who is surprisingly more hip than I expected. Third Yaya story is a phrase she would like to say every time more than two of us would speak to each other. She would say, God forgives, but the Spagnolis don't. I know she was pretty funny most of the time. That sarcastic sense of humor never left her, and for that I'm additionally grateful. I like to imagine what she meant by that was to be a Spagnoli means to carry your feelings with you and not let them go. And I imagine the experience I had with my Yaya means I get to carry those feelings with me. And I'm lucky to have such experiences in my life. And I hope I get the chance to leave such a loving and amazing impression on others as she left on me.
Thank you so much. I'm going to read the words of Richard now, Yaya's son-in-law. My mother-in-law's living room was like a museum, filled with her treasures, and there was always something beautiful to look at. Her curio cabinet was filled with the lake, and there was a fancy covered Bible on the table. And after she moved from her home to her condo, every room in the condo was like walking through a room in a museum. Each one exquisitely decorated and curated. A true reflection of my mother-in-law. She was one classy lady. In later years, she became a painter. We were all gifted with her artwork. In our home, her painting of Van Gogh's Wildflowers is cherished and will remain a constant reminder of presence of her forever in our hearts and our home. Thank you, Richard. In 1928, Shirley Elaine, a beautiful baby girl, was born. But she was born with a not-so-beautiful tumor in her kidney. Her parents were told to prepare themselves for an upcoming funeral. Her father went so far as to purchase a casket. Elaine's mother was the youngest of 13 children, and her grandfather, being a rabbi, would approve of the path her parents took in relation to her illness. There is a Jewish Kabbalistic tradition that changing one's name can change one's life and luck. When someone is sick or experiencing the need for protection, many people change their names entirely. I know people who have done this. Or they simply add a letter H or H to the end of their name to help them heal. Or in Elaine's case, they switched. They used her middle name now as her first name. And it worked. She cheated the angel of death for a very long time, 93 years to be exact. Elaine, a beautiful, sophisticated, talented woman, she lived a long, love-filled life. Everyone adored her, everyone here, her children, her grandchildren, her great-grandchildren, her friends, and she adored them. She adored you. Elaine met the love of her life, Nunzio, when she was only 11 years old. Truly childhood sweethearts. This handsome boy who learned the Jewish traditions early on lit the Shabbos candles for Elaine's family. Her father loved him so much that he wanted to adopt Nunzio to keep the family name going. But that wasn't necessary, because after chasing Elaine around the table for kisses for a very long time, he happily became the son-in-law. They got married just before he left for the army. Elaine and Nunzio, they were inseparable. During their marriage, filled with love, travel, their 5 kids, wonderful friends, their life together was beautiful. She felt extremely blessed, as does her family. When the kids grew older, Elaine got a job at Neiman Marcus. And she probably enjoyed the shopping as much as her work. But most exciting now, she explored and shared her great talent as an artist. The family you call her Yaya Moses. And each home has a piece of her work. And let me tell you, that is just one of her legacies. Her artwork is one of her legacies. Her kindness and her love are her legacies. Among her other devoted friends and family was Cousin Kathy, who called Elaine every night to discuss their day. And Elaine always said that Barbara and Chenzi, Dusty and Mary Jo, were more like sisters than cousins and friends. Having 5 children brought Elaine and her beloved Nunzio a large and wonderful family. All her children, all of you and your mates, you brought her so much joy. Jamie and Richard, Michael and your wife Jean, Lori and Jeff, Joseph and Tony, and all of her grandchildren and great-grandchildren. There's just so much love in this family. I was touched by the love and the struggle that Jamie shared with me when we spoke. And she shared about her mother's passing. And she said she was 93, but we weren't prepared. But then who is? But Elaine was ready. She knew she had had a wonderful life, full, rich. And as Jamie told me, everyone should be so blessed. Now, Jamie is sure that her father, your grandfather, is greeting his wife with open arms, saying, "What took you so long? And you look so good." Her beautiful soul is now with Nunzio in heaven. And last, I want to read the words that Jamie wrote to share with me. I often speak after the family speaks, but her words were so lovely, I didn't want to take anything away from that. This is Jamie's speaking. A while ago, I took a class called Soul Consequences. very spiritual. One of the classes, the first classes, posed the question, what were you taught to believe, and what do you believe now? So I asked my mother, what were you taught to believe? And she said, I was taught that I was Jewish and we were the chosen people, and that all Gentiles drink. I never got around to finding out what she really did believe because we started laughing so hard and the subject changed. We were in the car on the way to Pasquesi? Squeezy, thank you. And we all know how much Mom loved to shop. She loved to have beautiful things. And one of her greatest joys was sharing them with her children and her grandchildren. She also liked sharing secrets. And she would say, don't tell anyone, but, and inevitably we would compare notes and find out that she told each one of us the same secret with explicit instructions not to tell. As a side note, she told each one of us that we were her favorite and not to tell. And of course, we compared notes on that one too. She was feisty and fiercely independent. And particular. The Princess and the Pea had nothing on my mom. Everything had to be just so. Her home was immaculate, her clothes designer. And when it came to food, we all were aware of her explicit dietary requirements. Just a few days ago, Maxine was compiling a list of what her yai loved to eat. To name a few, she preferred organic eggs from Harrison Poultry and meats from Pauline Meat Market and a kosher salami from Romanian Sausage. Thank you, Michael. Must-haves included chocolate-covered halva from the deli, egg salad sandwiches from Mitsui, a good hot dog from Jean and Jude's, or Red Rand Hot, with mustard, onion, and relish. On our weekly Thursday shopping forays, it was the norm to go to 4 or 5 different stores. When I first read that and when we talked about shopping forays, I thought you meant for clothes. It was for food. Clearly, a very important component. But no grocery store, no single grocery store would do. There would always be something else needed from somewhere else, and she would say, don't get it now. Lori or Tony will pick it up for me. And Joey, don't you know how to turn right on a light? One of her greatest joys was going out for breakfast. Walker Brothers, basted eggs, thick bacon, sitting across from her favorite grandchild. All her grandchildren were her favorites. Lisa, Tony the kid, Valerie, Maxine, Danny, little Joe, Dominic, Tim, Molly, Anthony, and Annie. They all, you all, had a special place in her heart. And each one has a unique memory of Yah. As our family grew, her boundless love welcomed each new addition. We look forward to regaling the littlest ones, Margot, Harper, Hunter, Miriam, Evan, and baby-to-be, with our own unique Yah stories and songs, as we eat our onion sandwiches. In closing, I would like to paraphrase a portion of a quote by Richard Dawkins and add my comments. We are the lucky ones. The potential people who could have been here outnumber the sand grains of the Sahara. We know this because the set of possible people allowed by our DNA so massively outnumber the set of actual people. In the teeth of these stupefying odds, it is you and I in our ordinariness that are here. We privileged few. We won the lottery of birth against all odds. My mom, your mom, won the lottery of birth, and consequently so did I. I won the lottery of having her as a mom. So thank you, Mom, for life, for love, for you. Beautiful, Jamie. Jamie also shared with me a story of a song that she would sing, lull her babies to sleep. It was Hatikvah. It's a beautiful song. It's the national anthem of Israel. And all of you were lulled to sleep by this beautiful song. And it wasn't until much later, when you heard the original lyrics in Hebrew, that you children realized that the comforting words their mother was singing and sung to her by her mother and her mother before her were totally made up. And I'd like to sing those words for you now. When I was single, nothing to do, sit by the window and tie my shoe. Now that I am married, so much to do, so many children never can get through. One cries, Mama, want a piece of bread. One cries, Mama, want put me to bed. I wash them and comb them and put them all to bed. Along comes their father and pats them on their head. There is a beautiful tradition that we do for those we love who've passed. It's called El Malay Rachamim. And it's something that it doesn't matter what religion you are or what you do believe or don't believe. I believe in angels. I believe in angels strongly enough for all of you who may or may not. And when your beautiful, beautiful Elaine passed away, God sent the 4 archangels to surround her, to gather her under their wings, and safely guide her up to heaven. Protected, loved, and cherished. And this, if you wouldn't mind rising, I'll read it to you in English. O God, full of compassion, eternal spirit of the universe, grant perfect rest under the wings of your protection, of your presence, to our loved one Elaine, who has entered eternity. God of mercy, let her find refuge forever in the shadow of your wings, and let her soul be bound up in the bond of eternal life. The eternal God is your inheritance. May she rest in peace. Il malay rachamim, shachein v'amromim, hametzei menucha v'chonat tachat kanfei hashechina im kedoshim udorim k'zohar harakia mazhirim et nishmat Elaine shach le'olam Ba'al harachamim yastireu v'seiter kenafav leolamim. Vitror, vitror hachayim, et nishmatam Adonai nachalatam. V'tanua v'shalom al mishkava v'noar. Amen. There is one last prayer that we share together. I'm trying to find, well, it is in your handout. If you want to, if you can, please join in, please read it with me. This is a prayer that we say to our loved ones who have passed. There's a tradition that we say this for 11 months because it builds up their strength in their soul and that they can enter the gates of heaven with the strength that you give them by saying the Kaddish over and over again. Now we know that your Yah and your mother's soul doesn't need her soul building up. She's fine. She's good. She's already there with God and her beloved Nunzio. But we say this with respect, and it also gives you an opportunity to speak to her. Talk to her. I'm sure some of you are already doing that. Share with her. Tell her what you've done during the day, what you're gonna do. Carry her with you. Yitkadal, Yitkadash Shmei Rabbah. Yamadi Vacherte, Yamlich Malchute, B'chayechon, V'yomechon, V'chayedachol Beit Yisrael, Ba'agala, V'bizman, V'ari, V'imru. Please say Amen. Yehi Shema Rabbah, V'marach Le'elam, V'maya, V'olmei, V'maya, Yitbarach V'yishtabach, V'yipar, V'yipman, V'yitnaseh, V'yitadar, V'yitaleh, V'yitalal, Shemei Dekudisha, Brichu, Le'elam in Kol B'chata V'shirata, V'shbachata V'nechemata, Damiran B'yalma V'yimu, Amen. Yehi Shalom Rabbah, Mishemayu V'chayim, Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'yimru, Amen. Osei Shalom B'imramal, U'ya'asei Shalom, Aleinu V'yal Kol Yisrael V'yimru, Amen. Please be seated.
Friends, ladies and gentlemen, this does conclude the services here in the chapel. In just a few moments, the cemetery staff will take the casket toward its final resting place, and we will be joining her in just a few moments thereafter. For those of you also joining us online, this will conclude our stream. And just as a reminder, the family has requested that if anyone is so inclined to make memorial contributions, they can do that to the Tay-Sachs Foundation, the Cure Tay-Sachs Foundation, and that information is available on our website. Thank you, and we'll invite the cemetery staff to come forward at this time.